And welcome in on this Friday afternoon. We are tracking strong to severe thunderstorms into northwest Indiana as we speak. Not everyone is going to see these storms. We've been watching this line as we've gone throughout the morning roll through Iowa. They got hit hard in Iowa again. My goodness, that line went through northern Illinois, kind of started to fall apart. It was moving in. And now, kind of the leftovers of what was moving in are redeveloping on our hot and humid atmosphere that we have. If you haven't noticed it today, we started very comfortable outside, and that dew point went soaring out ahead of this line of storms. And we're now talking mid 60 dew points. So it is muggy outside. The atmosphere is ready to go. There's this envelope of just warmth and humidity that's working along and ahead of this line. So let's get right to it right now. We had a post on this, so you should be updated on this with our new severe thunderstorm warning that got issued for Lake County. This is just Lake County right now that's going to be dealing with this storm. If you're down in Newton County, down to the south, you'd expect that line to move in first. I don't see any problems for you right now, as this storm is just mainly moving across from Illinois into Indiana into Lake County. That's it. Okay, so here's our storm right now. We've got good lightning with this. I mentioned in the posts that there are some large hail. If you had the opportunity to bring the car in, I hope you did, because there's $half size hail with this. So let's dive into the details. Here you are in Porter County, no problems yet. You had a little cell that developed, nothing yet for you. This is heading your direction. It looks to be a Valpo North kind of situation as of right now for you in areas of Porter County. But in terms of Lake County, strongest part of the storm right now is in the northern half of the county. Whiting getting hit pretty hard. We can zoom on in. You can see the lightning strikes. That's where most of the lightning's occurring with this. I know a lot of you obviously are seeing this storm move in, or perhaps you're getting that heavy rain or hail right now. But when you're hearing the thunder, that thunder is off of lightning coming out of the Whiting area, heading over towards Gary. That's where the bulk of the energy is with this individual storm right now. And lightning can often tell us where the strongest part of the thunderstorm is. And so where we see a lot of lightning, it means you've got a lot of uplift. You've got a lot of updraft and downdraft going on within the storm. And that tells you where the energy is. And so this is the most active part of the storm right here in the extreme northern half of the county. Yes, few lightning strikes down to the south, but overall, that's not where the biggest part of the storm is. So we've got heavy rain right now. We do have hail in the Whiting area. Hammond, you just got hit with this. Hammond, you're about done. That's how quick this storm is going to move through. Gary, you're next. We've got some heavy rain right on your doorstep right now, in addition to some hail. This is heading right along the Klein Avenue area. This will get into the I-65 corridor along the Borman here shortly. And then as we head back down towards the south, you can see there's another pretty formidable part of this storm that's moving into Cherville right now. This will cross into Crown Point. I think you'll get clipped in the Crown Point area. Maryville, you're more so in the path of this storm than the Crown Point area is. Eventually getting over into the Hobart area, Lakes of the Four Seasons, you're in line for this as well. And then getting into Portage, okay? This is not your run-of-the-mill thunderstorm. This one's packing a little bit more of a punch. We don't like to make a big deal of things around here. And this isn't a huge deal, but it will be if you're in the path of this. And the reason why is because of the hail. So a couple things I want to check out within this storm right now. I'm going to zoom on out just a little bit again. You can see, and I'm sure I'm going to get some messages here shortly for this one that's starting to get going just west of Portage. That is not your severe part of the storm. The bigger storm's off towards the west. This is just a kind of a little developing appendage out ahead of it. So a couple things I want to go through right now. Let's go through the wind, okay? There is a small tornado threat from these. We saw some rotation with the storm as it was going through Will County in Illinois into actual Cook County. We saw some rotation with that. Wasn't warned, but it was something to watch. And given kind of the way the last storms went that we were tracking live on here, those ramped up in a hurry, right? And ended up producing a tornado that went into Michigan. And so I want to keep my eye on the rotation part of this because there is a small rotation threat from these. It's not huge, but it certainly could be happening, especially as we get some of the more unstable air that we've been building throughout the day interacting with the storm system. So you can see here there is a little bit of rotation going on. Nothing I'm concerned with right now. That rotation, there's actually two areas here. There's this one right here, which is out over Lake Michigan. That's heading outbound. It wouldn't be tight enough to warn or anything like that. And there's another little pocket back here towards Whiting. That's not tight enough to me to say, hey, we've got a problem. And a little bit of broad rotation down to the south. Again, nothing When I'm looking at this from a meteorological perspective, there's nothing I'm concerned with in terms of rotation right now. What we do have, though, is this brighter area you see here. These are the stronger winds. So we're getting some good wind energy out of this, moving through basically from the Borman north. All right. So this is into the Gary area. That's where we have some of the strongest winds. There are pockets of stronger winds down to the south, but that's really not the biggest concern. You're going to get heavy rain and lightning from that. But the biggest concern that, again, I posted about when this warning went live is the hail. So let's look at the hail within this storm. We've had some real decent size hail, like $half size hail back towards the west. And this is where it is right now. This radar is usually about a minute or two behind. You'll get updates on it. It sometimes it lags. It's not always set up in sales mode like the actual radar is. But either way, here's what we're dealing with right now. There's some smaller hail that's going to be moving into probably the US 30 corridor between Cherville and Merrillville here shortly. This is kind of heading this direction. Crown Point, you may be clipped by some small hail. I don't think the storm, the worst of it's going to move through Crown Point. I think those would be north of you. So US 30 up towards the Merrillville area. And then by and large, I mean, this is where the larger hail has been moving through the Whiting area. This is right over the Gary airport right now. Gary, you're probably getting some of this hail right now as it's, a little bit behind, but this is hail what we're looking at when we're looking inside the storm. And this is some pretty large hail. Here's your $half size hail potential. Remember, this is with the radar beam, which is going up in the sky quite a bit, right? It's elevated with the angle of the Earth. So we're getting a read of what the hail looks like as it's falling out of the clouds. Some of it does melt on the way down, especially in kind of the sticky atmosphere we have right now. But I would imagine not a lot of that's melting. And we've got some large hail to contend with. This is along 90 as you get into the Skyway, heading into the Chicago area as well. And this will get into the Gary area, around the Midtown community, Tolston as well, West Side Brunswick picking up some decent hail right now. And again, this will get into downtown Gary itself here probably, if it's not already, probably over the next minute or minute and a half or so. All right. So that's our hail threat right now. And this is where our large hail is. It's kind of hugging the Lake Michigan, Lake County border right now. And hopefully this heads mainly offshore. Let's keep it there. But for those with boating interest out towards Ogden Dunes, Dune Acres, Burns Harbor, this hail is heading that direction. So if you've got a boat, you have a way to cover it. I mean, it's getting a little too late in the ballgame for that. But certainly this is going to be something we're going to need to keep an eye on. For anyone that's up, Indiana Dunes State Park, I'm going to give you an early heads up on this. You probably see the storm coming in with some dark clouds. You can see the lightning off in the distance. You can probably hear the thunder rolling in the distance as well. This storm is heading towards Indiana Dunes State Park. So popular place this weekend. I'm not sure how popular it is now with the storms moving in, but I would imagine there's some people there trying to get some R&R here on this Friday as we head into our Memorial Day weekend. So if you're in that area, you're going to want to get in the car here shortly, all right, and head on out because the storm's heading in your direction, okay? You want to get that head start. Last place you want to be is right near the water when the storm's moving in or up on one of those dunes, okay? So this is our hail threat. That's a primary threat in my mind for the storm system as it moves on in. I'm going to go back to the radar, though, and take a look at kind of where that rain is because even the heavy rain and some of the gusty winds, that's going to be impactful to you as well. So here's our storm right now. I'm going to zoom on out just a little bit so we can get kind of a better read of this. And I'm going to put a little motion on it so you can see exactly kind of where it's been and where it's going. And here's what we're dealing with. I mean, it's not much. It's not a huge storm. It doesn't take up a lot of real estate, but this has some wind energy with it as well to continue to keep it propagating and moving because this is a leading edge for that huge squall line that was coming out of Iowa. Again, it was moving through Illinois and it started to fall apart and weaken, but this little appendage of it just kind of kept going. It's like the little engine that could as it was coming through the Chicago area. Will County was getting it, DuPage County as well. And now it's feeding on our instability. I mean, we're warm. We're in the 80s right now. We've got dew points in the mid 60s. It's humid outside. That was the big change since this morning. And the storm's feeding off of that energy as it continues to move out towards the east. All right. So it's Lake County right now. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning. I know the warning goes all the way down to southern end of the county. I got to say, though, for those of you in Cedar Lake, Winfield, down towards Leroy right now, even Crown Point, there's not a huge severe weather threat for you from this. All right. This is going to really encapsulate areas Crown Point along 231 and northward. All right. And the bulk of this storm is heading through the Gary area along I-90. It will stay along the Borman, eventually getting up towards 94. So Portage area, Chesterton, yes, you are in the path of this top storm here. And then this bottom storm is worth watching. We've had hail with this. It looks like it's kind of recycling its energy a little bit, but we're starting to get a little bit more rotation out of that. I don't say that to scare anyone, but this bottom one is going to be worth watching as well as this gets into Maryville here shortly. Okay, so that's the movement on it. These things have a little bit of a leg on them, and it's not much. I mean, once that storm moves through, you're going to be done for a little bit. But there is more storm action out towards the west, and some of that will develop, and we still have the risk of some more thunderstorms here this afternoon. But this is really taking the cake right now in terms of thunderstorm action. All right, just some quick behind the scenes action going on. I was ready to go on. I have my glasses on because this is obviously like evening for me because I do the morning show bright and early, and I'm trying to get my glasses off to put my contacts in, which are bothering me right now. But I'm ready to go. I mean, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning. I want to get you the latest. And I had the contact on my finger. I should just get LASIK. And the thing, I went to put it in my eye and it went flying. It tumbled down my elbow and onto the floor. I can't see where it is because I don't have my contacts in because I'm trying to get them in. And so it's on the floor somewhere. I'm sure my cat's probably eating it up. But either way, if you see me blinking a lot, it's because I had to emergency grab a new contact and shove it in my eye. Had a ton of hair on it or fur or whatever's on the towel. Anyway, so that's, we could do a whole series on behind the scenes videos here before we go live, between the kids and putting in contacts after a nap. So anyway, I appreciate you. I appreciate you trusting us, regardless of if I can see or not. I can see the radar. We're good right now. Okay. All right. So that's what we've got right now. I'll take you through kind of another analysis of all this as it continues to move through. But I want to get to some of your questions. If you guys have any questions or anything that you need, go ahead, throw them in the chat. That's the whole point of this Region Weather Live is getting some interaction from you. Okay. All right. Leslie right now says that we're getting hail in St. John, Indiana. Yes, you are. There's some hail moving through there. Leslie, the biggest hail's north of you right now, but yeah, there's some small hail moving through your area as well. Okay. Bonnie, this is not heading towards Lorain County. So this is my broadcast for Northwest Indiana. This is where I used to do weather. This is for them solely in the region. This stuff is not going towards the Ohio area at all. Okay. This is what we'll deal with in Ohio tomorrow, but this stuff is all Northwest Indiana right now, Bonnie. Okay. Kathy, I do think so. I think they'll probably extend this severe thunderstorm warning into Porter County as well. So we'll see if that happens. How's Michigan City? Michigan City is in the path of this northern storm. I think you're going to get a pretty decent storm in Michigan City here. Probably, I would say another 30 minutes or so, 30 to 40 minutes for the Michigan City area. We've still got some time until that moves in to areas of LaPorte County. Okay. Bonnie, thank you for the update on LASIK. She says a beautiful thing. I don't know if it creeps me out, lasers and eyes, but I've heard good things. I just worry about later in life what happens. But anyway, that's it. Let's see. Lindsay. So here's the deal, Lindsay, on the rotation. I'm going to go back and take a look at it. Okay. I don't want to get too chatty here and not be watching what's going on. But Lindsay, storms rotate all the time. Okay. We have to keep our eye on it. All right. Storms rotate all the time. It doesn't mean they're producing a tornado. But these in particular, especially the southern storm, I want to keep my eye on because, they obviously could turn into more and we don't want it to. Okay. So that's our radar right now. This shows where our rain is. Oh, I don't like the look of that southern storm. Let's check on that rotation within it a little bit. It's still pretty broad right now. That's good news. So as just to explain kind of what I'm going through here, as meteorologists, we can look into thunderstorms, okay, much like, and I say this to the kids all the time that are talking, the kids get worried about tornado warnings. A lot of adults do too. We assume every tornado is going to hit our house, and that's not the case. And we don't have a tornado with this right now, okay? I want to make that very clear. But just so you know, doctors, right, know the different parts of the body. They have specialties where they know, where the heart is, where the different valves are. They can do all the work on it, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Meteorologists have that specialty as well, most of them. And we can look inside a thunderstorm and tell you where the most dangerous parts of that storm are. Okay. So just because there's a storm moving in doesn't mean that we need to be scared about it. And I'm speaking to a lot of the kids out there. If there are kids watching, I know a lot of them in school still. But the adults alike, and you can tell the kids that meteorologists have that specialty where we can dissect storms and we can tell you where the most dangerous part is. And oftentimes, most of the storm's not scary. There's nothing dangerous going on, but we can pinpoint down to street level where that dangerous part is. Okay. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. All right. I don't see any cause for, any problems or any concern down in terms of rotation and the Crown Point area. Okay. This storm has had some broad rotation with it, broad does not mean tight, and tight means tornado, broad does not, okay? So as we kind of go back through time here, this is what we're watching. There's just a little broad area of rotation. To me, it's not noteworthy enough for anything. Off towards the north, this is a little brighter area of wind. This is really the big concern with this outside of the hail is this gust of wind that we have coming in. So let me put the radar kind of where it needs to be right now, and let's track this out. Let's see here. I'm going to do a couple things operationally here, okay? So just give me a moment to track this out. There is our new severe thunderstorm warning for Porter County, okay? We called that, didn't we? You guys asked good questions, so there's that. Okay, so this is our new severe thunderstorm warning. It's out for Porter County. You got it. So these things are moving. What's the speed on these? I didn't look. Moving east at 20. I'd probably put it at 30, 35. Why don't we track it out like that? And let's see. A couple more things I'm going to do here. There's that. Let's do that. We're going to do 30. I'm going to do 30 just to be safe. We're going to kind of calculate the speed of that, okay? So in terms of timing of the most severe part of the storm, Portage, you've got another 5 minutes. I mean, this thing's basically moving in. You're already getting raindrops right now. Into the Crocker community in 11 minutes and Babcock in about 12 minutes. Let me track it out a little bit further for you. And I'm going to take, if I can get that out of the way, I'm going to take this northern appendage a little bit further north. I want to track this thing into the Chesterton area. We're still going to keep it at 30. So here we go. Dune Acres, about 18 minutes. Porter itself, around 19 minutes till this thing hits. And Chesterton, you've got about 20 minutes, okay? So that gives us, for those asking questions in Michigan City, that gives us probably another 20 minutes after that, okay? So about 35, 40 minutes before it heads into LaPorte County, okay? But we've got strong winds. And so the way this thing's going to hit, you're going to have some strong winds initially, not off the charts, but there's some pretty strong wind gusts in this area right here that we're looking at. And then we're also going to have heavy rain and there's hail. So I want to go back to the hail briefly because that's going to be, to me, the most impactful part on your property or, you know, things you're concerned with. So this is the hail that we're looking at now. And the hail, most of it's still offshore, which is good, but it's hugging the lakeshore right now. Okay. So this is our big area of hail. Let me get this out of here so we're not still tracking storms. This area right here is our large area hail, and that is really intensified out over the lake right now. Okay. So if we're tracking this hail, let's put a little track on this because this is, to me, this is the thing I would be concerned with is this large hail within this. And you can see how it's kind of hugging the lakeshore right now. But that lakeshore curves, we all know that. And so this is going to head inland. So let's track that hail core. Let's do something like this because that's pretty much staying flat to the lakeshore, and that's going to head right into Indiana Dunes National Park. Oh, that's not what I want to do. This is what I want to do. Okay, here we go. So let's track this out towards the east. I'm going to track it a little further into LaPorte County. Okay, this is your hail threat. All right. In terms of our hail threat, in at least estimation, if this continues on its present course, Ogden Dunes, 13 minutes till you get some large hail. All right. We're talking the potential for some $half size hail. Burns Harbor at about 19, the Dune Acres area about 22 minutes with the hail. That's not with the storm itself. It's the hail. Chesterton about another 27 minutes. So you have the option right now in the Chesterton area to bring the car into a carport or a garage. I would go ahead and do so. If the kids have toys or bikes outside or anything you need to protect for some hail, it's not a guarantee you're going to get hail out of this, but this thing's been producing some big hail, and that hail's been pretty consistent with this northern cell. So just keep that in mind. If you're in the Chesterton area, you've got about another 25 minutes or so, okay? Graham Woods, about 29 minutes until you get some hail out of this. Beverly Shores, about 34 minutes. And then if it continues on its track and current intensity, I mean, this is getting out half hour from now. We don't know how this storm's going to be behaving 30 minutes from now. But Town of Pines around 37 minutes. And there's your Michigan City. That's right on the time estimate that we were talking about 46 minutes or so until this storm hits you with some hail, okay? That's a total of about 88,000 people here in Northwest Indiana that could be seeing some large hail out of this, okay? If you're further south from that, boy, I'm still tracking here. Let's not do that. And you see some of the hail now moving through the Miller Beach area. This will get into Ogden Dunes here shortly with some hail, okay? All right, I want to go back to reflectivity because this is going to affect a lot more people with some of the heavier rain. We'll zoom on out once again. Again, if you're just joining us, we don't have a tornado with us or anything like that. This is a good potent thunderstorm that's rolling through Lake County right now. That's now going to get into Porter County here shortly. All right. And we've got hail with it. That's the primary threat in my mind, is the large hail. We had some pockets of some $half size hail back towards Illinois. We're seeing that along the shoreline right now. There's smaller hail in the southern appendage. I don't want to rule that out. That's not the big damaging kind we had over the lake right now, but still, we've got some small hail with it that'll be moving into the Maryville area here shortly. Hobart, you're next for some small hail with that. But this part also has some very heavy rain. And we've got very heavy rain now on the I-90, I-65 corridor, the interchange there. We've got some real decent downpours falling there. I-65 is covered in heavy rain right now. So I'm sure we're seeing a slower go of traffic as that continues to kind of jog off to the east. Okay. All right. Let's focus on the southern end of the storm right now. You can see where the heavy rain is right now. Again, when we look at a radar like this, I just want you to keep in mind, this doesn't show tornado. This doesn't show hail. Okay. We can look inside the storm and see that. All this part of the radar shows is where the heavy rain is. Okay. And it's coming down real good. It's very localized, though. This storm is not going to last long. It's not a huge storm, but it is packing a pretty decent punch right now. So Maryville itself, my favorite shopping district along US 30 there, you had some raindrops. You're getting a break right now. And then we're going to see rain pick back up. Meanwhile, we are not getting a break in Hobart. You're starting to get rain right now, and you're going to have heavy rain through the duration of this as it kind of tracks. You can kind of see what part of the storm you're going to get. You're going to get that part of the storm. So you'll have a consistent storm there, whereas down in the Maryville area along US 30, we had a little appendage come in, and then you get this little dry area that's moving through, okay? You hear the rumbles of thunder off towards the north. We do have lightning strikes with this, and I do want you to note, just for safety purposes, I mean, look at where some of these lightning strikes are. Down here, just south of Crown Point, there's lightning strikes here. It's not raining in those spots, all right? That's what happens this time of year, and that's why the National Weather Service says when thunder roars, go indoors. They mean it, because here's where the storm is here, and we're getting lightning outside of that, and those are lightning strikes, okay? So it may not be raining, and you may see a storm moving in, and that lightning can strike out ahead of that. So you want to make sure you're in a safe place. Even as far south as the Winfield area, Wheeler, you need to be in a safe place right now. And I don't mean due to tornado threat. I mean due to a lightning threat, okay? That lightning can strike outside of the storm. So here's our storm right now. Rolling Hill Estates, you're getting hit pretty hard with some heavier rain. I just love this capability here on Region Weather to be able to go into the street level. I mean, this is a game changer for us. You can see how this rain, the heavy rain, is heading along US 30. This will get into the I-65 US 30 corridor here shortly, okay? We're going to get hit with some pretty heavy rain with this. Shouldn't last long, though. I would say this lasts a good 10 minutes or so, and then you're done. All right, we do have some hail with this, so keep that in mind. As you head north on 65 from the US 30 exit, that's where the rain gets heaviest. You head south from there, we're fine, all right? So I mentioned a little bit earlier that areas down towards Crown Point, you'd be getting clipped by this, and that's the case. There's not even a raindrop in Crown Point right now. We've got the best rain falling off towards the north. As you get in the Liberty Park community, you've had some raindrops, that's it. The bulk of this storm is going to miss Crown Point, okay? So let's track it out further to the east. Hobart, we already mentioned you're in the line of this storm right now. You can expect some hail. We've got some heavier rain with this. This is going to be a good thunderstorm for you. It's not going to be off the charts, though, okay? This isn't anything crazy. We'll keep our eye on the rotation component to that. And then off towards the north, this is where the strongest storm is, and most of it's offshore right now. So that's some good news. Ogden Dunes, you're now in the rain right now. Portage doesn't look like a whole lot for you right now. Let me get a sip of water while we look at the radar. Yeah, so not a whole lot for you right now in the Portage area. You can see the bulk of the rain is just north of you up towards Marina Shores. Lake Station, you're just getting some light rain. You can probably hear rumbles of thunder ongoing right now. But out towards the west, Gary, you got hit pretty hard from this storm. Pretty good downpour. Had some hail for you. You're almost done with it. Griffith, you're almost done as well. Notice how this storm's heading through the new Chicago area. Portage, you will pick up with some heavier rain here shortly. It won't be too long. But the bulk of the severe stuff looks like it's going to head north of you in the Portage area, okay? Jennifer, I see your comment on there on Portage. So there you go. It's dark there right now. You've got some rain that will kind of spit out some bigger drops. But most of the lightning and thunder is off towards the north. I mean, we can split this storm into two. We've got this big storm up here, and then we've got this one down to the south, which is decent size. Both of these are the reason for your severe thunderstorm warnings in Porter County. But again, there's going to be spots that don't see much of a storm at all. That's kind of the nature of the beast. Okay. If you are at Indiana Dunes State Park, perhaps you're watching on the Region Weather feed right now on Facebook or on YouTube, certainly you might want to get out of there. And the reason why is because this storm's going to be much different. The storm over land right now is not the storm that's out over Lake Michigan, all right? This is a potent part of the storm out here. There is large hail with this, and this thing is heading inland like this, okay? So this is going to head into areas of northeastern Porter County, and we're talking the dunes, all right? And that will get into Michigan City. I do think we get hit pretty decently in Michigan City from the storm as it rolls off the lake. And those in Michigan City know what those storms are in coming off the lake. They're a different beast, okay? There's not a lot of friction out over the lake. You got wide open water. That storm can kind of do its thing, and it can start to develop some strong winds, and that strong wind can roll off that lake, that frictionless lake, all right? So just a heads up for my folks in Michigan City, we're down to about probably 35 minutes or so until this storm moves in, okay? But there's a big hail core with that, so that's kind of what I'm concerned with. So here's your appendage building into the Portage area. Portage itself is fine. You get north of 8094 up towards Ogden Dunes. That's where we're dealing with some of the heavier rain and probably some small hail with that. Biggest hail's just offshore. And then down towards the south, Hobart's still seeing some decent rain right now. It's starting to come down pretty good. Maryville, you're still dry. Notice how this storm kind of curves around you right now. If you head north on 65, boy, you encounter downpours in a hurry. There's still some lightning with this. There's not a lot of lightning, which tells me the storm, yeah, it's on the stronger side, and it's probably up to severe limits, especially with some of the hail within it. But that tells me there's not a ton of energy with the storm, because lightning is always a telltale sign of how active a storm is. If you see the lightning, really starts to uptick in a storm, that tells you the storm is strengthening, and I'm not seeing that with this, okay, right now. All right, so that's kind of big picture. I'm going to put this radar in motion here. I'll let it go, and I'll go back to some of your questions again. Again, if you're just joining us, appreciate you joining us here on Region Weather. We like to track storms, and we like to keep you ahead of things here in Northwest Indiana, and I hope we're doing that. By the way, guys, our sponsors up above us, Minogue.life. If you have any problems or any trouble navigating the world of Medicare, Medicaid, life insurance, that stuff's all crazy, right? Minogue.life is the website to go to. I'll tell you, Mike's been doing this stuff. He is I'm especially a meteorologist, right? In meteorology, he's a specialist with that nasty stuff. Okay, I don't even want to deal with that. There's so many rules, and do you need life insurance, blah, 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 at certain ages. Michael will get you through all that. Minogue.life's place to go. Guys, if you have any storm damage from this, and this is not advertisement time. This is going to help you time, okay? Publicserviceadjusting.com is the place to go, and I say that because what our public service adjusters do, if you have storm damage from any of this moving through, whether it be hail damage, whether it be wind damage, both those two things, you can go to your insurance company first, and they're going to take their time, and they're not going to give you a lot of money for it, okay? Instead of going to your insurance company, go to publicserviceadjusting.com. They're all local licensed insured adjusters, moms and dads from right here in Northwest Indiana. They have 5-star reviews across the board, and what they're going to do for you is they're going to come on out. They'll take pictures. They'll handle your claim for you with your insurance company. You don't have to do a thing, okay? You don't even have to stress about it, and they'll get you all the money you deserve. They'll get you a lot more than what you normally would get. Everyone wins. 5-star reviews across the board. Again, publicserviceadjusting.com, the place to go, okay? It looks like our storm out over the lake. I'm telling you, this is the doozy storm right here, and it's offshore, okay? So an early heads up for you in Michigan City. We've been talking about you. Let's time this out. I think the storm out over the lake has a little bit more leg action on it than the rest of them, but let's time this into Michigan City, okay? It's moving, I would say, let's go 35 just to be safe. I know it says 25 on the movement on that. So this would bring it into Beverly Shores. It would clip you in 19 minutes. Michigan City, we're down to about 29 minutes, okay? And that 29 minutes is until you get stronger winds, some hail, and that's really my biggest threat right now that I'm thinking is the hail. We're still looking at $half size hail out over the lake, and some heavy rain and lightning, okay? So that's a decent storm that's going to roll off Lake Michigan into areas of northeastern Porter County into Michigan City itself, all right? That, I think, is our biggest threat. This southern storm isn't doing much. I mean, it's a storm. I get it. Let me take this tracking off. Let's zoom on in. This is the one that's missing Maryville right now, all right, just off towards the north. It kind of curled around you in Maryville. Deep River Water Park, you're okay right now. Just some raindrops don't go in the water. There's obviously lightning with that. But Hobart getting some decent rain right now. That will pick up in intensity. That's moving into New Chicago. But look at Maryville sitting here. I mean, all of our folks in Maryville right now are like, haha, we barely got a drop of rain. Whole thing kind of curled around you. Interesting how that happened. All right. And then let's take a look at this northern half of the storm right here. This is a decent part of the storm moving into the Burns Harbor area. This is a 94 issue getting into Porter and Chesterton. Okay, it looks like you're going to get clipped by this decent storm to the north. Most of the lightning with this is offshore. That's good news, but you can probably hear the rumbles of thunder. Most of that is actually coming from out over Lake Michigan. But this is along 94 right now, just north of Portage. Portage, you're getting some rain. The bulk of the heavy stuff's just north of you right now, okay? So this will get into Burns Harbor, Dune Acres here shortly. Ogden Dunes, you're about done with the worst of this. But this is some pretty heavy rain falling, and there's some hail in there as well. Let's check on our hail. I also want to check on our wind, make sure it's not doing anything weird here. Let's go back to hail real quick. So there's your hail. So we've got real big hail falling offshore. I know this looks like, a Nintendo 12-bit or 8-bit or whatever it is video game. Unfortunately, this is kind of what we deal with, but it gives us a story, so we really don't need high-res hail. But anyway, we do have some decent hail falling just offshore right now. Burns Harbor, I would say probably pea-sized hail, maybe dime size. There's hail, but it's not the big stuff that's offshore, so that's good, okay? So keep that in mind. If you've got friends or family, or perhaps you yourself, because we can travel on Regional Weather Live, which is good. If you're traveling here for the holiday, trying to get out of town, 94 is where the hail is right now. And that is right between the Portage exit and the Chesterton exit along 49. Okay, that's where the hail threat is right now. I mean, if you get dime-sized hail and you're driving 65 or 70 miles per hour, that adds some speed to that hail, and that can still cause some damage. So, just maybe let the storm pass. I don't recommend pulling underneath an underpass or an overpass. It's not the place to go. Exit, heading to a gas station, get something over you is probably the best thing to do. Okay, so that's our hail. Let's check our hail in this southern storm. Yeah, not much. Yeah, that storm's not doing much down towards the south. Okay, I wouldn't worry about that. Let's go back to wind real quick. So again, what we're doing is looking inside these storms to see what we're dealing with wind-wise. Yeah, so we still have some strong winds with this. Okay, the leading edge of this, that's what we can see with this bright red here. The leading edge of this has been producing some pretty decent wind. So I would plan on probably 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts coming in spots. Not everyone's going to see that, but it's rolling through the Burns Harbor area. Let's time out that wind for you and get in a little bit closer here with that strong wind gust. I know we've got a lot of region weather watchers and viewers here coming out of the Chesterton area. So I want to make sure you're safe from this. Let me time out this wind. It's kind of moving like this. So we'll time it out just a little bit. I want to go 35 on it just to be safe. So Porter, another 3 minutes or so. I think you'll get clipped by some strong winds, especially if you're on the northern side of town. Graham Woods in about 8 minutes, around the Wake Robin Fields and about 8 minutes or so. Furnaceville in about 10 minutes until the stronger winds get you, and the Brummett Acres in about 9 minutes. So you get the idea. That gust of strong wind is going to continue out towards the east here in about 10 minutes or so. It'll be getting over into the Dunes National Park. Eventually just I-94 problem as it kind of escapes away from 80-94, all right? So in terms of strongest winds itself, for those of you in Chesterton, the downtown area, one of the cutest towns in Northwest Indiana. I mean, I got to say top two. You'll find out my other one if you get a severe thunderstorm warning. But anyway, I think the worst of this storm is going to be just north of you. So Porter, I think it'll clip you. It's going to head through kind of this area here, okay? So Chesterton itself, I think the worst of this is going to be just north of you, okay? So that's a heads up to my friends in Chesterton right now. Let's go back to, let me check out the wind on this southern storm here. Let me get that track out of there. Man, I keep forgetting to turn that off. That's the worst thing in my mind. I always, as a meteorologist, I always want to have a smooth broadcast. And I never want to draw inadvertently when you're not supposed to. And I still end up doing that. So anyway, that's that. It'll always happen. I don't see any rotation out of the Hobart area. So that I'm not even worried about that storm anymore. Okay. So our severe thunderstorm warning for Porter County. This is for mainly the northern half of the county. Okay. It's not everyone's going to see the severe thunderstorm that's under the warning right now. Okay. So let's kind of sort that out briefly. The warning is really for this cell right here, which is going through the Burns Harbor area. I think the thought is that maybe this could redevelop into something a little bit more. But as of right now, that Hobart storm is nothing. Okay. Portage, you're in line for that. You're going to get some heavy rain, a little bit of lightning. But that storm is not it's not worth talking about. It's really not. Okay. And that's the storm that I think Chesterton will end up getting. So we'll see if it further redevelops. But by and large, this is the severe part. Okay. Right here, the storm that's offshore. Let me zoom out so we kind of look at it a little better. I'm going to put some motion on it, if that's okay. And you can see, I mean, this is a storm that's kind of held together. It's kind of held its own, went through the Gary area. It's now hugging the lake shore, and this thing's going to roll into Michigan City here, probably another 20 minutes or so. Okay. And, you know, the tornado threat with this, that's not what I'm worried about. You know, there's a small threat of tornado from these. I'm not worried about the tornado. I'm worried about the hail. Okay. So if you're in Michigan City right now, this is your last heads up. If you've got a car outside, if you've got something outside that needs to be protected, please do so. Please bring it into a garage. If you've got, you know, patio furniture, that you have glass patio furniture. I'm not saying you're going to have large hail where you live, but there's hail with this storm, and it's going to head right inland to the Michigan City area. Okay. If it holds together, it could break up and we may see the hail get smaller. But as of right now, we're talking $0.5 size hail. That's decent. All right. And this thing's been producing hail all the way back towards Illinois, the same storm. So why wouldn't it behave that way as it continues to move east into our unstable atmosphere that we have here locally? All right. Couple big picture things. I didn't see anyone ask for this, but I know you're probably wondering, like, what's going to happen the rest of the day. Okay. So let's quickly touch on that. There's more storm development. So the models this morning, and this is why I said this morning, dissipated the whole thing. They took it up into Wisconsin. And I had that post this morning saying, you know what? Not so fast. The models had the storm in Western Illinois and Iowa. They had it off towards the north, like the worst part of it. And then you look at the radar, and this is what you need to do as a meteorologist. You need to compare what the model's saying compared to what's actually happening right now. And I don't feel like meteorologists do that enough. So when I did that, where the storm was on the models did not line up with where the storm was actually. It was further south. And so that's why I had that post this morning saying most of the models are dissipating this, but we need to keep an eye on it. And this is exactly why, because the computer model guidance this morning and your phone app and all that good stuff probably did not count on this moving in because nothing had it moving through. All right. And I'm not trying to make credibility for a local meteorologist, but that's kind of what you do as a human is you analyze, is this lining up with what the computer thinks is going to happen? All right. So we're dealing with a line that wasn't on the modeling this morning. What the models did, and what I still think is going to happen, is we're going to have some further development out towards the west. Okay. So out towards the west, there's still more development back towards the Chicago area and then in central central Illinois. Okay. You can't see much of it here. But there are some showers and thunderstorms developing back in Western Illinois, getting into Central Illinois and like the center half of Illinois down towards Champaign. Okay, we're going to keep an eye on that. Some of that moves in. We've got other storms that are moving in from the south. Okay, so I'm just going to give an early heads up to our friends Newton, Jasper County. Okay, we're going to start tracking those storms shortly. Actually, I think our radar goes that far south, so why not? Well, there you go. There you go. So here are our storms into. They're just west, the Kankakee, just south of the Kankakee right now. These will move into Newton County shortly. These are slower movers, and these are kind of bubbling off towards the north. So Newton County, we're going to keep an eye on that cell just south towards your west. No threat right now, but probably another 10, 15, 20 minutes or so. We'll track some of those storms into your area, okay? The bulk of the action right now is in our northern counties, and that includes this storm right here, which is producing that severe thunderstorm warning. This is the only severe thunderstorm warning in the region right now. And this is for northern areas of Porter County. Okay. All right. So let's track where this storm is right now. I cannot figure out how to get this box out of here. And I probably should have played around to see close. Will that do it? That doesn't do it. Oh man, that's fine. All right. The box is just kind of bothering me a little bit. All right. So here's our storm right now. Chesterton, again, you're going to get clipped by this. I think the worst of the storm is going to be just north of you. Here's your Burns Harbor, Dune Acres portion of the storm. Indiana Dunes, you need to be off the beach right now, folks, in your car in a safe place. There's lightning with this. Most of the lightning strikes have been within the storm itself. That's not always the case. We can get lightning strikes out ahead of it even before the rain starts. So please take that into mind. All right. Beverly Shores, this is heading your way. Let me move my box. Michigan City, probably another 15 minutes till this rolls in. Okay. This isn't a huge thunderstorm for you, Michigan City, but it's got some strong wind with it, okay? Wind that can cause some damage, and we've got large hail. So those are the two things with this Michigan City storm we're going to keep an eye on, okay? This storm's getting going now. This is just west of LaPorte. We've got some new lightning with this, some new energy with this near Holmesville. This is right along the 8095 or 8090 corridor. I don't know why I was say 8095. It's not even a thing. But either way, this is heading into town. So LaPorte, nothing severe yet, but we do have a little storm that's developing along State Route 2. So keep that in mind for you. And then in this portion of the storm, back down towards the Hobart area, St. Mary Medical Center, you're getting heavy rain. There's some lightning with this. This will move into South Haven. Valpo, you'll probably get clipped by some raindrops. That's about it. We'll see if this further develops not severe. All right, let's head down to the south right now. I want to track this new little bit of storms moving in as it's heading into Newton County. So here's what we're dealing with. This is in Iroquois County right now. Hooper getting hit with some heavier rain right now. There's some lightning with this. Morocco's starting to see some raindrops for you along US 41 there, heading north and south out of town. Beaver City, some raindrops for you. Nothing severe yet for Newton County. We don't have a warning for you, but this is a pretty decent thunderstorm that's moving in right now. Let's take a look. We're going to kind of analyze the storm, see what we're dealing with in terms of the storm. We know we have heavy rain and lightning with it, but let's get in and look at some of the wind with it as well. So, yeah, there's a chunk of some gusty winds with this. I don't see anything rotating. That's some good news. But here's some of the stronger winds that may move into the Morocco area here. Probably I would give it another 10, 15 minutes or so in Morocco. We may have some pretty decent winds there. And let's check hail, because to me, I would imagine we have hail with this, and that's probably the primary threat, just kind of looking at it. And there you go. There's your hail. We've got a decent hail core moving into the Donovan area in Illinois right now. We're going to track that hail east, and eventually that would get into the Morocco area. Brook, there's more activity down to the south and west of you, so this storm would get into the Brook area here, probably another 20, 25 minutes or so before you get that. Not a guarantee for hail for you folks down in Newton County, but I would imagine we'll have some pockets of hail and strong winds, much like we're dealing with to the north, okay? So that's kind of what we're dealing with down in Newton County. There's no warning for you yet. I would imagine that will translate eastward right now. Again, when you look at a radar like this, I know it looks like a huge deal. It looks like the apocalypse is moving in. That's not always the case. This just shows us where heavy rain is, and we have some very heavy rain falling within the storm. The thing I look for as a meteorologist, in addition to what the radar looks like, is lightning. And you can see we've got a decent amount of lightning strikes with this. That tells me we've got good energy with it as well. Okay, the storm certainly isn't going away. It may be dealing with some stronger updrafts as it moves into Newton County. So we're going to keep a close eye on that, all right? It's now getting over the state line, getting ready to cross over. So I would imagine if I were a National Weather Service worker, I would imagine they're going to extend probably a warning that looks something like that. I don't know if they'll extend it down to Kentland or not. But I would imagine we'll have a new severe thunderstorm warning out for this area here, okay? And that would be shortly. We'll see what they come up with. Again, the fine folks at the National Weather Service do all that. They do hard work. They analyze storms much like I do. They're the ones that put out the warnings, okay? So there's that. So we'll continue to watch that storm. If you have friends and family down towards the south, Kentland, further south, Fowler area, getting down to Remington area, this storm is a little bit bigger down there, and there's some more wind energy with this. So this portion of the storm right here has more wind. That will get into the Oxford area here not too long, over into Monticello eventually, okay? So the bigger picture, let's put this back in motion so you guys can kind of see what we're dealing with in terms of movement on all of this. I gave my severe thunderstorm warning box I can't get rid of over to Illinois, so there's that. So let's put a little movement on this. These storms are few and far between. They're not taking up a lot of real estate, folks. So I want us to get through that hail threat for Michigan City, and then I'll probably let you go, all right? My whole thing is there was large hail moving in, and I want to make sure your property is safe, okay? Same thing for you down in Newton County, all right? The rest of us not seeing anything. There's more storm action out towards the west. We run the risk of storms all the way through tonight. There's going to be a lot of breaks in between. Just an early look ahead to our Memorial Day weekend. We get all this stormy action out of here tonight. We'll still have some storms around tonight. Tomorrow morning, I think we wake up to some clouds. We should go sunny pretty quickly. Tomorrow is your outdoor day, okay? Tomorrow's going to be beautiful. We have some cooler air settling in back behind the system as well. So I think 70s for highs tomorrow. Slightly lower humidity. It's going to be really nice tomorrow. So tomorrow's your outdoor day. Sunday, we've got a system coming in. I know we've got the Indy 500 on Sunday. This system coming in has a lot of rain with it, all right? And this thing's going to kind of spiral its way off towards the north. It's going to bring rain and storms. It's not going to be a washout Sunday, but we're going to have rain around pretty much all day in waves, okay? Sunday's not a great day for whatever you have going on. Monday itself, for Memorial Day itself, we're going to have low pressure. We'll have wind around, so it's going to be breezy and cooler, and we'll have showers around. It's not a washout for Memorial Day. For observances and ceremonies and parades on Monday morning, we'll probably have some showers around. I don't see a big storm threat on Monday, but we're going to have showers around. It's going to be on the cooler side as well. Okay, so Saturday is really your day. I know a lot of people have Sunday plans. We do have a severe weather threat on Sunday as well with that low pressure. It looks pretty decent. I'm kind of impressed with it. This low pressure has some pretty good strength to it for this time of year. So we do have a severe threat on Sunday. I do want to point that out there. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at. All right, let's dive back into these storms. Guys, I didn't forget this, but I'm going to have to go and you'll be fine. All right. But I'm going to have to go in a couple minutes because it's my daughter's last day of school. And we're going to go pick her up and do ice cream. Okay. So nothing like a meteorologist getting ice cream while we have severe weather, right? But we owe that to her. Okay. So I'm going to let you go here in a little bit. But let's get you back in these storms. Let's track this northern storm. Let's see how this one's behaving right now. We have a pretty decent storm developing. Expect some heavy rain here in downtown LaPorte here shortly. We've got some lightning with that. Here's your Porter County storm. Worst of this, north side of Chesterton right now along 94, getting up into the dunes. There's decent hail with this. Michigan City, probably another 15 minutes or so. You're going to have some large hail moving in. So I want to give you that heads up for that, okay? So that's our Lake County or our Porter County storm that's out over the lake. Here's your storm back in Portage, not a big deal. This, I would imagine, is something we're going to have to watch. LaPorte County, we're going to have to keep an eye on this, okay? If you've got a radar app, keep an eye on it. This one is developing, all right? So we could have some small hail shortly moving into LaPorte in addition to heavy rain, okay? So that's what we're dealing with right now. So my friends in Michigan City, Springfield, Michiana Shores, heads up, get to a safe place right now. This isn't a tornado threat I'm watching. This is a hail threat and a strong wind threat. We've got some decent wind with this, okay? There's good wind energy as this thing's moving in. Let's look at wind real quick. There's your wind right now. Everything north of Chesterton. And I don't want to say this, but we're starting to see just a little bit of rotation right over the dunes, okay? The place we told you to clear out about 30 minutes ago. Not a big deal, not tight enough to issue anything, but let's just keep our eye on that. Let's kind of look at how this has behaved over the last couple radar scans as this is moving in. I just want to watch this real quick. There's your gust of wind, okay? Pretty decent gust of wind. Yeah, I'm not too concerned right now. I'm not too concerned, all right? But there's a pretty decent gust of wind going through the national park right now. Okay, we'll keep our eye on that rotation. Broad rotation here, not a big deal, okay? My big concern is not a tornado threat, okay? It's that hail. Let's go back to hail real quick. I do want to check on that for us up to north. There you go. So that's good hail. So Chesterton, you're probably getting a little hail right now as this moves east. Dune Acres, though, and we called this 30 minutes ago. The Indiana Dunes National Park, you're probably getting some decent hail right now, okay, as that storm moves in. It's not a pretty storm. It's going to be very brief. These storms aren't going to last long, but it's packing a punch. Michigan City, you're next. Michigan City, good news for you, though. The hail core has shrunk, and it's not as big out over the lake, okay? So that is a good news for your hail threat. I think we'll get some, but as of right now, it's not as big as it was before, okay? All right, last check. I want to check on our friends in Newton County. Here's a decent hail core. See, that hail's growing. I would imagine we're going to have a severe thunderstorm warning for Newton County here shortly, okay? And if not, they should. Morocco, Kentland, I don't know how to pronounce this town. I would say 8 is probably 80. I'm not sure. Brooke, this will get into your area as well. So US 41, north and south in Newton County. Prepare for some hail with this. That's probably on the order of quarter size, okay? That's decent. So again, carport or garage if you have the opportunity. And here comes the heavy rain. This will get into 41, eventually hitting into 65, okay, towards Rensselaer. You're in the path of the storm as well. This one's got a little bit different look to it because this is the northern appendage off of a bigger storm down to the south. So I'm not too worried about this for a rotation, but there's strong wind with this that's going to move into Newton County, okay? So that's what we've got. Let me take you through one final movement, and I got to get out of here real quick. So here we go. There's more action off towards the west. I think it'll be a while. We should get a nice little break after this stuff moves through before we see some more potentially stormy weather this evening. But it's scattered, guys. This isn't for everybody, okay? Not everyone's going to get hit by big storms. This time of year, it's scattered. Your neighbor gets it, you don't, okay? And you can see on radar kind of what that looks like. All right, so here's our LaPorte County storm getting bigger now. I think the energy from this storm is now kind of feeding a new storm here. So LaPorte County, LaPorte itself, I think you're going to get a pretty decent storm, all right? Michigan City, we've got some wind with that. Little area of rotation. I'm going to keep my eye on that. We've got hail moving into Michigan City as well. And then this chunk down towards the south. Here's Newton County. Here's Jasper County. Most of this rain is going to pass just south of you, but still we need to keep an eye on that as that moves in, okay? All right, guys, that's what we're dealing with right now. Caitlin, I see your question. Anything coming after this? We get a nice break, and then there's more scattered activity after that. I would imagine this, just doing some radar analysis, this chunk of storms right here is going to take up a decent amount of atmospheric energy. So, I would kind of lower our severe threat for our southern counties, and I would keep my eye on this area here, which includes a lot of us here in Northwest Indiana for later on this evening. Just kind of looking at what storms are sucking up energy. There'll be plenty of it after that. But guys, in between this, I mean, we've got sunshine, we've got dry weather, okay? And that's how we're going to spend a lot of time in between these storms, okay? All right, guys, thanks for being with us. I appreciate you trusting us for, keep you safe through the storms. We'll keep you updated on anything you need to know.